Alrighty, welcome back to the last part of our tutorial. We are about to add 3D to our mix so we can work in a 3D world. I wanted to note that this is not necessarily the best option. It's very possible, let's talk about this first. It's very possible that you may want to create a two-leveled jagged array. Let's see here. Managed jagged array, now managed multidimensional array. That first value is the Y, and the second value is the CR index, using the 2D method of getting the CR index, the X and the Z, based on the X and the Z. This actually benchmarked better for me than having a single level jagged array, or a single level array like we have right now, with all 3 dimensions shoved in, packed into one area. But if you're going to try to work with Unity's burst compiler, then you have to have a single level array. It's just the way it is. So if you're going to process your level, whether it's more like Minecraft chunks, or it's more like Warcraft, or it's more like Fallout, if you're going to process your array all in on the front end, you're not going to use a burst compiler. It's maybe better to have a jagged array, not a multi-dimensional array, but a jagged array, and that would look something like that. And then the first parameter would be your Y, and the second parameter would be your index, based on your X and Z, or column and row. But with that being said, and let's go ahead and jump into this, we need to add a few new controls. We're going to add height. And we're going to add another generate button. Let's call that btn generate y, or height, with height. What? And then we need to add a Y control. Let's move this down to our, we need to add a Y text box over to our fetch, so we can fetch now 3D style. And we need to add a new fetch button down here. With Y, fetch with Y. And I have get the CR, and then I need to get the CR with Y, or just get CRY. Get cry. Or get CRY. Alright, and let's put some new methods out here. I want to move these, won't keep these close together, even if this is just a tutorial. Put you up next to the other generate. Yeah. Move you to up here. A little bit of organization. So we will now generate with our height. Method's going to get a little bit different, a little bit fatter. That's okay. Need to move my microphone, excuse me. I also need to plop my height up here. And I need to add my level size, because we need that, and we need to remember it or store it. I guess it should have a type. Now we're going to loop through our height first. We'll use our 3D get CR index. I have added that, haven't I? And our key will be equal to S. Once again, let's put our number of chunks generated. What am I doing? What am I? I can't really stress enough that this is not just for voxel. I mean, it's for hexagonal. It's for really any kind of layout that you want to come up with. I guess if you want to do something crazy like make a Minecraft clone, which doesn't have a lot of purpose, you can. So we are going to get our C, our R, and our Y. Let's see there. What am I doing here? This is the one I want right now. It is almost just like our original fetch. Let's go ahead and grab this part from it. I'm getting my buttons mixed up here. I think we can just sneak this in. to add a new function into it. That will still be there if int.try parse tby.text out int y. Y was invalid, and now we are going to add a y in there and our level size here. Okay, that should get it, but now we want to get our CRY. And it should be almost like our old one. Yeah. But instead, or we're going to add in, and what am I missing there? I'm missing, where am I missing it, should I say? Yeah, right there. So we want to use our 3D method, and y should go in right there. Result y. Pump it in right there in between the column and the row. Alrighty. Sorry if I'm collapsing these too fast for you. Alrighty. Alrighty, we have a height of 50. So that gives us 125,000 chunks. If we do this one, we get 2,500 chunks. But if we add another 50 to the height, it's 2,500 times 50. And we can still do this one, but it will always return our first level. It will always return for y 0, of course. But now we want to do this one. So I put my y 1, and we jump up 2,500, which is correct, because remember, one level is 2,500. Chunk out of range. Okay, yeah. There we go. And if we want to get our CR and Y from that, so if we go to 2,500 exactly, that should be a Y of 1. Yeah. It is working. So Y, let's see here. If I go all the way, let's go to 25,000. There we go. So row, that's absolutely right. 26,000. Now if we can still do CR, but of course it's going to be wrong now. We're confusing it, because there's only 2,500 on a row. So if we do 24.99, let's clear this. That and that should be the same thing. So I can't really stress enough that this is not just for voxel. This is for all kind of cool stuff that you can do. Laying out your maps in laying out your levels for a Fallout-like settlement. You want to spend some time in Blender. I'm working on this tutorial right now. I'll start off with voxel, but end a little bit higher def. In that you want to create a settlement kind of world, create a simulation kind of world, create a farming game. I think that's what I'm going with. that is slightly voxel based, but is higher def. And you can use higher def textures. The only thing this does is give you a 3D database. It's a cubical database that lets you store your information to access it quickly. And these little methods down here, which, I mean, I learned them the first time from a guy, I believe his name was from a book by a guy named Sam Wayburn. I can't remember his name actually. It was for when Windows 95 was just released. So I'm really aging myself right now. For DirectX, and it was creating a Doom-like game. So you with pseudo 3D, that meant that the walls were actually you rendered them at the view you wanted to be viewing at. So you had like 4, 8, or 16 or 32 views. So when you turned, you simply used direct draw to flash up the image on the screen that was correct for that view. And it hasn't changed. The math doesn't change. Of course, that was only using the 2D methods, but this is unlimited how many dimensions you can put out there. For this one, I would never put a string in a chunk. It would probably be something like, or your chunk would be a collection of a struct that is a block. I actually normally call them nuggets, but use a short. Your types are so important in this kind of development, in that if you use an int, you're doubling the amount of RAM that you're using from these. And we're talking about, bring up Microsoft Calculator here. So if you're looking at 16 nuggets wide by 16 nuggets deep by 64, you're looking at that size times 4 bytes times what is it? 21 times 21. So you're looking at that many bytes. That's not as bad as it looks. Hold on, let me bring up Excel here. And let me get on my other screen. I'm not hiding it from you. I just need to. So that divided by that, so 27 megabytes. That's not that bad. But doubling that by using an integer instead of a short, it starts to matter. So now you're using 55 megabytes of RAM for something that you could be using 27 megabytes of RAM. In a short, let's just do a debug. Have to import that. Hold on. Right line. Size of a short. So in debug size of an int. So it's a quick way to get sizes. In a short is 2 bytes. In a, oh, I had those backwards. So I doubled both of those actually, but short is 2 bytes. Integer is 4 bytes. You're doubling the size. So that's actually the size of the int. That's the size of your, that's the size. It's a big deal. You want to save every bit of RAM you can. And like I said, if you're working with Unity and you want to use the burst compiler, then you want to use single level array, you're going to have to use the 3D method. But if you're not going to use the burst compiler, then I do think you ought to use the jagged method, which is the equivalent of the native code C++'s multidimensional. The managed multidimensional is a very slow array that is not equal to the native multidimensional. The managed jagged is equal to the native multidimensional array. But that really doesn't matter since you can't use it with the burst compiler anyway. You can't pass a jagged array or a multidimensional array to C++ safely from interrupt or through the burst compiler. And the burst compiler, if you look that up, it is native. It is doing everything in native code. So, okay. Rock and roll. God bless. I hope I taught you something. I hope you learned something. Ask any question in the comments. And please subscribe and click that bell notification because I'm going to have some tutorials coming out, probably on the burst compiler and positively on generating a world. Pretty sure it's going to be a farming world. Good luck. God bless. See you later.